Sean Falconer here from Modern Athlete Magazine, and welcome to our latest episode of Modern Athlete Live, brought to you by Traumeel. A little bit of introduction first about our sponsor. Traumeel is, of course, this medication you can buy at pharmacies and other leading retailers. It's all about inflammation, because inflammation is natural. It's a natural side effect of running. It's actually good for the muscles to be slightly inflamed and to get stronger in the process. And Traumeel is just as natural. It's a multi-target, multi-component medication that alleviates the inflammation symptoms and helps you to regain your normal mobility and activity quicker than you would without it. It's available in cream, gel, tablets, and drops, so you can get that at pharmacies and other retailers. Well worth checking out, and thank you very much, Traumeel. Now, today I have the privilege of speaking to somebody I've known for, I don't know, many years, 20 to 30 years through running, an absolute living legend of the sport, Mr. Barry Holland. Barry, first things, welcome to the MA Live, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure.
Now, for those who might not have heard of Barry before, he is the man with 49 Comrades medals, and not just 49 consecutive Comrades medals. In fact, if it hadn't been for COVID, he probably would have already got to 50. In fact, let me take out the word probably, just cancel that. He would have had 50 by now. Sure. Just a quick side story is we put out a newsletter a week or two ago, and I made a typo. Now, as an editor and a journalist, I'm mortified when I make a typo, but I made the ultimate typo. I wrote that Barry had 48 medals, not 49. And Barry, let me tell you, I immediately started getting emails from our readers going, "You've made a mistake. Barry's on 49. So apparently you're quite famous.
So, Sean, you think you were mortified? I was more than mortified, because you can't pinch one away from me. They're so hard nowadays that to pinch one away is an absolute shocker. But we've known each other a long time, so I did forgive you.
Well, I just want to publicly apologize to you and to our readers. As I say, I hate making mistakes, but I can't believe I made that one. So on that note, 49 Comrades medals. The point of these videos and these interviews is to help newcomers to the sport, and also more experienced runners who might be struggling with motivation. But how do you run well? So I think the big question people have with somebody like you is, what's the secret to success in terms of motivation and longevity? What keeps you coming back year after year?
Well, I think foremost is the absolute camaraderie of running. You know, to me, the medal count has now become obviously quite important, because hopefully nobody in history will get to 50 before me, and that's going to be obviously a huge landmark and something to be obviously proud of. And I would be disingenuous if I didn't say that it's a massive target now, and going to 50 next year is going to be absolutely huge. But if you boil it all down, medals are medals. Whatever I've done in my running CV is just my running CV, and it sits alongside everybody else's CV. And yes, you've done your PBs and everything like that, but at the core of our sport, Sean, is the camaraderie of running. Why do I go out there in the morning? It's because I'm seeing my mates. It's a little bit of, nonsense in the morning, tell a few stories, talk about the rugby, talk about the cricket, and that's the joy of running. It's the joy of our sport. The participation. I've always said to people, do a lot of talks and things on Comrades, of course, but, I always said running Comrades is relatively easy. Training for 5 months for Comrades is really, really hard, because that's 5 months of dedication, grit, and determination. All of those wonderful words, but they're so meaningful in our sport. Grit and determination, absolutely essential if you want to be a Comrades runner. And that's the hard part. And if you don't have the camaraderie of the sport, and the getting out there in the morning and being with your mates, the sport's not worth participating in.
In terms of things having changed a lot in the sport, I mean, you've seen events go from maybe 10, 20, 30 people to thousands, and you've also seen technology change. But have you had to change the way you do things as you've gotten older?
Yeah, I think the word there is having gotten older. Certainly, I mean, I used to train 6 days a week when I was racing Comrades and racing marathons and things like that, and that was required. I mean, I ran 6 days a week, and in those 6 days, we always did between 8 and 9 sessions. So at least 2 or 3 of those days would be twice a day. So yeah, without sounding like a when we trained very, very hard in those days. And as you get older, it's just no way that your body can take that on. So you just need to understand as an older runner that you just don't have the capacity. And it's very interesting that today's show is backed by Traumeel. I was with my chiropractor just the other day, and he was working on me, and then I said to him, okay, fine, look, I've deliberately, before I came here, stayed off anti-inflammatories. And he said, no, stop right there. I said, what? He said, take them. And I said, are you actually saying to me, take anti-inflammatory? And I said, yeah. I'm like amazed. He said, no, listen, Barry, your body needs help. So when your body is stressed like that, and you've picked up a little bit of injury, and you've got some inflammation, as you said in your intro, we pick up inflammation every time we're running it. So it's a traumatic sport, and it was very interesting that there was, from a professional, saying you need to take it, obviously within reason. You can't live on anti-inflammatories because they obviously Traumeel's a natural product, that you can't live on them forever. But it was interesting for a professional to be saying to me, your body needs help. So as an older runner now, I've decided I have to help my body along the way. I only train 4 days a week now. I find at the moment I start to go to 5. I'm almost like at 4.5 days. If I go to 5, I'm starting to break down, and that's just having to support your body, and those are the changes for me that I found as an older runner, certainly.
In terms of mileage these days, how does it compare to what you're doing now to what you did in the peak years of running when you were doing all that crazy mileage in the 80s and 90s?
Oh, crazy. Absolutely. It just not even close. So, I mean, when I was running silver medals at Comrades, my magic number was always 1,900, maybe touching 2,000 kilometers from the 1st of January through to Comrades in those days, of course, was the 31st of May, and then later on into the second Sunday in June. So that was let's call it around about 2,000 kilometers. Nowadays, if I get to 1,300, I'll be very, very happy. So I just, once again, that's just cannot take on that kind of training load. For the younger guys, absolutely. Those younger bodies, far more resilient, they can do that. But I've had to cut my kilometers back, pretty dramatically. So, if I was to run more Ks, sure, I'd be able to get up to that magical 200,000 mark, but I'm not sure I'll ever make it. I've run about 170,000 kilometers now. So, but I'm not sure that I'll get up to the 200,000.
Listen, Barry, it's a phenomenal track record you have. I mean, I think people tend to focus on that number 49, the number of medals of Comrades, but they forget just how many other races and other training runs and other experiences are in that running career. So I guess you must look back on a half a century of phenomenal running memories.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, where you based down in the Cape, I mean, one of my favorite races of all time, of course, the Two Oceans Marathon, had fantastic weekends coming down to race Oceans. Oceans is always a great love, and it is a great love for runners because it's not as traumatic on your body as Comrades. You can run Oceans, go home, have a bit of a sleep in the afternoon maybe, and you're out partying that night. There's no problem at all. Guys talk about with big mouths about how they're going to go out after Comrades, and I always say, guys, listen, the only show you're going to is the blanket show. You're going home, you might have half a pizza, and then you're into bed. There's no other place for you. So the racing those races and marathons, and obviously as a runner, if you know that you were given some talent and you want to now try and express that talent and try and get to the landmark times that us runners sort of look at and say, okay, fine, if you can break 3 hours as a marathon runner, you're pretty good. You're a decent runner. And then, because I could break 3 hours fairly comfortably, then obviously it becomes that whole push of, well, what can I get to? Where are my limits? And you're always trying to find your limits. So I always had a great deal of fun working towards those limits. And I must say, I go out at the end of my career knowing that I've gone within literally seconds and in the longer distances, maybe a minute or two of what I was capable of doing, whatever talent I was given. I was given a reasonable chunk. Fordas was given hobbles and hobbles of talent, and others at the back of the field weren't given maybe what I was given. So, I just chose my parents well, and but if the pursuit of those times and breaking barriers, that's the great joy of running. Certainly if you've got some well, I don't know, whatever your talent is, I think you push yourself to get to whatever you believe you can get to.
So other than choosing your parents very carefully, do you have sort of some pearls of wisdom that you share with beginners? I'm not talking about comrades runners now. I'm talking about people that are just getting into running and looking to maybe try their first race, maybe step up in distance, maybe try and run for a fast time. What kind of advice can somebody with 50 plus years of running add to that?
Sean, I think a lot of clubs have, for one, Dolphin Coast Striders up here in Belito, we've got a magnificent initiative. It used to be called Jumpstart. Now it's called Kickstart. What's in a name? Basically, it takes people from the couch to 10Ks. So we take people off their couch, and their very first session is under 1 kilometer, and they walk and run a few steps, literally 1K. And 10 weeks later or so, they run a 10K race. And that is just, if you can look out for things like that as beginners, or just get involved if you can in your local club. The club scene is what runs running in South Africa, and it's almost unique in the world. Sorry, excuse me. You'll find, I think, beginners going down and sourcing their local running club. Most running clubs have got very experienced club captains and committees and stuff like that, and they'll find that you'll get introduced into running. There'll be programs like our Kickstart, which are absolutely they are life changing. Absolutely life-changing. We've had a couple of Kickstarters who have started on that program, gone on, got their 10K, gone on because they're excited about the sport and run 21, then progressed to a marathon. And in fact, I know 4 from our club that went on and ran Comrades. And that was from sitting on the couch and running 1K the first time they went out and ran. So it can be a life-changing experience. We old runners, we come back to this word consistency. Road running is all about being consistent. It's all about getting out there in the morning and the next morning and the next morning. And if you're running 3 times a week, it's just making sure that if you're supposed to run on a Thursday, you run on a Thursday. It's hell of it easy to stay in bed. It's hell of it easy to say it's cold this morning, whatever. I mean, we're all good at those excuses, but long distance running is a hard sport. It's this hard sport mainly because it takes such incredible commitment and to be consistent. If you're consistent, you'll have fun doing the sport. And there's no reason why the brand new runners, the people that are currently sitting on the couch, can't get out there. And I always say, guys, I'm not asking you to run Comrades. I'm not expecting you to run Comrades. Leave that to myself and crazy people like me. But if you're just going to get out there and do 10Ks and then eventually maybe progress to a 21K race, it'll change your life completely.
Speaking of crazy people like you, the Comrades 40 Club, which is of course the people who have done 40 and more Comrades, in the late 1990s, there were 2 people in the club. It was Kenny Rogers and Kenny Craig, and Clive Crawley. Okay. Now there's something like 15 or 16, if not 20 people. I actually haven't done the count just recently. Isn't it amazing how many people have stuck with the race and had such a long career?
Absolutely. It is amazing. And you're right, that I don't know that final number. I used to keep up with it. I think it's 19 or 20 now. You're quite right, Sean. Some are brave. When I say brave, take a guy like Boyce van Staden. Great example. Incredible athlete, 5-time gold medalist. I saw Boyce on his 39th Comrades, and we ran a while together, and he said, Barry, I'm running my 40th next year. I said, I know. And he said, I'm 40 and out. I'm done. And I said, Boyce, I don't believe it. He said, I promise you, run my 40th. The next time you're going to see me is you're going to see me bump me on the promenade or Durban promenade, and that'll be mine. And he stuck to his guns. So some have said, okay, 40 is an incredible number. 40 Comrades, an amazing number. And then they pray. I believe it's brave enough to call it and get out. And others, you know, like myself, I was blessed because obviously, yes, I was blessed with some talent, and I was blessed with obviously being biomechanically very sound because I've picked up and dealt with very, very few injuries over all my years. And then others have, you know, my great friend Dave Williams, who battles nowadays to qualify. He can't get to the start line. And then when he's got to the start line in a couple of years, he just hasn't made the finish line. And Dave's a man now of, I think, Dave's 73, might shoot me if I've got it wrong. But yeah, so, you know, when over 70, you're no longer a baby. And that body has taken a huge amount of strain. So, but yeah, it's quite amazing that those so many guys have stuck at it and just carried the allure of comrades. Sean, the allure of comrades. It's incredible. It brings us back year after year.
Well, I can just tell you that I've known Dave Williams as well for several years. I've had some wonderful chats with him. In 2013, that really, really hot year where a lot of people struggled, Dave was, I think if my memory serves, he was going for his 40th that year. And he came walking up the road towards the point where I was doing vibe commentary just before Pietermaritzburg. And he was just shaking his head because I knew he was going to miss the cutoff. And he still had a smile on his face. And he was going, it is what it is. Next year I try again. Yep. And I mean, I saw him doing a 10K race in Durban just a few weeks ago and still smiling and happy and loving his running. And I think that's the secret for me. Even when there are disappointments and things don't work out the way you wanted them to, the running still brings you back because it's such an enjoyable sport. The camaraderie, the friendship, the exercise, the health and fitness, it just brings you back anyway.
There's no shadow of a doubt. It's the, you know, people have said to me, you know, when will you stop? Well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to stop at 50 because, you know, that's like enough already. But you know, what people asked me that question 15 years ago. And I said, you know, guys, I will stop when I'm no longer enjoying the sport because I'm not going to do it just for the sake of another medal. I might be fairly close to that point right now, you know, because another medal is not just another medal. The next medal is the 50th, and you know, but in truth, yeah, it's got to be all about, are you enjoying something? You know, it's a sport, for heaven's sake. It's not your job. It's not your livelihood. It's a sport. So if you're hating playing golf, well, give up golf. You know, and if you're hating road running, then give up road running. You know, but it does. You know, the evidence is the fact that we come back year after year after year because we must love something about the sport. And I said to our first point, I think to the heart of it goes the camaraderie and the fact that you just love being with your mates and getting out there.
So speaking